Hi, welcome to another episode of the Perspective with Viv podcast. My name is Viv, and this is the show. I don't know what episode this is because it's been a long time. Pardon me for going away for long. I'm back with my red hair, by the way, because when I watched that episode with me with black hair, I was like, I can't be a wannabe. This hair is on until the people that are finding an issue with me having this hair the whole time can buy me a new wig. For now, this is the character that I'm embodying, and this is the hair color that I'll be wearing. Thank you so much. So, today's episode is kind of like a freestyle episode, but I've titled it The Art of Being Yourself. All right. I'm just going to talk because I needed to come back to the podcast to let everybody know that I've not gone away for long, to bring back consistency, to also talk about what's going on with me in terms of like everything. So obviously, you know that I moved back to Lagos, and for me, the kind of person I am, depending on the location I'm in, I shift a bit, I change. So it's kind of like I stopped doing everything I was doing in London on a consistent basis to kind of see who I would become when I just started a new life here. So I stopped everything. I didn't write. I stopped everything really, and I wasn't doing much until I just restarted. You get me? And luckily, I was reached out to about the podcast for a free audit. So that sort of like got me back on track. Like, yeah, this podcast is going places. Let's continue and let's head towards monetization. Being back in Lagos is quite different because I'm definitely a different person now. There's been a lot that's happened. We had a full moon on Monday, which was a full moon in Aquarius. And I feel like, if you've listened to my astrology reports, full moons have to do with like releases, completions, Aquarius is a sign of innovation, humanity, detachment, community, socialism. And so wherever Aquarius is in your chart, you're finding yourself releasing certain things, saying goodbye to certain things, completing certain things, and you're also adopting a healthy approach to detachment. I really believe that. So, for example, if you have Aquarius in your fourth house is the house of home, family, emotions, femininity, women. You sort of are releasing chapters that have to do with that in some way, shape, or form. It can be different for everybody. Maybe you're used to carrying emotions for certain people. Now you're only carrying your emotions. Maybe you're moving homes, you've completed a chapter in your home, you're ready to move to a new location. Okay. If you're having the same thing in your third house of short travel, neighbors, divinity, communication, maybe you're changing the way you communicate. Maybe you're going to find yourself going on a trip, because I remember when I had a full moon in my third house, I actually traveled, a short trip some weeks after. So don't be surprised if you continue to see effects of the full moon weeks later. But detachment is there, community is there, innovation is there as well. Don't be afraid to allow yourself to embrace these new feelings because there will definitely be new feelings. So what can I say about the art of being? I think what I've been learning since I got here is the fact that I love the freedom of being yourself. And I'm finally embracing the freedom of being myself in the sense that I what's the right word? In the sense that I'm allowing myself to actually be who I really am, be who I truly am, to be my own community. Because if I'm really being honest, okay, so if you see me looking this way, it's because I'm looking at my phone as well. But if I'm really being honest, I kind of realize that I want people that feel like me to be my community. I'm tired of settling. I want my people that feel like me, people that feel like high vibrational, like my soul tribe. I feel like I can get along with anyone, but I feel like not everyone can get along with me. So I don't feel sad about it. It just makes it clear that when your person's here, your person's here, your people are here, your people are here. So what the new format for this podcast is like, it's going to be like 20 minutes videos. I'm still going to try and do some audio as well because I really like audio, but if I'm doing a video episode, it's going to be 20 minutes or 30 minutes. This art of being, this episode is just to continue to encourage you listeners that being your authentic self is where it's at. Not dimming, not reducing yourself, not carrying people's insecurities and projections that hinder you from being your best self. I think like an attack on you. Like the whole idea of having to change so that somebody can accept you. That's not the way it should be. So I feel as though that's a big lesson for people to learn, that when you actually give yourself that space to be yourself, it's okay to see who doesn't take to that. You're not meant to be for everybody. So just allow yourself to think about it in that sense, okay? So for me, I wanted to say that being back home, it's different now. It's different because there's a certain element of peace that I've attained that I'm like, wow, I don't think I know what to do with myself. It's not bad. It's just different. I know for a fact that when I go back here, I was like, I'm going to set the tone for my life. I'm going to determine how I'm living my life for myself, not how the world wants me to live my life. And that's been very good and very important and very sexy. So it's nice painting the canvas of life or your canvas of life in a way that is just like, what's the right word? Different, very unique, innovative. Mm? I'm still finding my footing with my creative work. However, I have started some projects that I'm proud of and have projects that I want to work on later on, possibly next year. The ones that I'm working on right now, I want to finish them by the end of this year, then start the next one next year. So keep an eye out. The website is down because I moved and, I wasn't earning in I wasn't earning in pounds anymore, so I couldn't keep up with my payments. However, that's going to change pretty soon. So keep an eye out because that website was banging, wasn't it? We have an Instagram account called the Perspective with Viv podcast. Oh, Perspective with Viv podcast on Instagram. So check us out and follow us. If you haven't followed us on TikTok, it's Vivacious Viv is the name of the TikTok, and so is the Twitter. So check us out on our social media accounts. The art of being for me now is not giving a fuck. And I feel like this full moon in Aquarius is really helpful because Aquarius is like, I really don't care. I want to be myself completely and I'll be myself completely. It's like, I don't know. It just got to a point while I was here that where I was like, oh my goodness, I really feel this freedom of being myself. The art of being does not require you to seek permission from people outside of you to be yourself. I think that's even an assault on your spirit and on your personhood. We all came here individually. So it's like, why am I asking people around me who don't even know me, who aren't with me, who don't wake up every day with me and sleep with me for permission to be myself? It kind of made me feel like you have to really be strong in the way you are intentional about living your life. You have to be bold, you have to be courageous, you have to have audacity. It's important. So that's where I'm at in terms of like ensuring that I'm really, really authentic with myself. And I'm not going to lie, listeners, if you journal, it's good to keep checking past journal entries to see how far you've come. You may have written some lessons that are still useful and helpful for this present self that you are. If you voice record or voice journal, check them out. Like keep going back to things that you've written or recorded in terms of insights to remind yourself about who you are as a person. For me, it's my podcast. For me, it's my journal entries. For me, it's my voice recordings. Genuinely, like I said, it's like I have all the answers. And it just reached a point where I was like, I'm no longer going outside for answers. I don't know why I keep looking outside for things when inside is where it's at. So it's kind of like now with me, I'm getting to know myself better on a deeper level. You get me? And because I'm also in this place where I realized I was carrying people's projections and insecurities and burdens unknowingly, I wouldn't say as Viv, I would say as Faida. But like, because I wasn't using Viv as an outlet, it made things more, it made me store things more, if that makes sense. So like now coming back onto the podcast and being this version of myself is kind of like, oh, I see things from a higher level. This podcast is where I see things from a higher level. This podcast is where I embody my higher self. And the human me, the person that is out there in the world, still needs to come back to this podcast to remind herself that, girl, when you're out in the field, you've already written and recorded episodes that will help you in terms of insights and strategies for how to handle things out in the field. So don't forget that. That's what it's like. So it's the same thing when you look at your past journal entries or listen to your past voice recordings about life and insights on life. Like, it's important to remind yourself who you really are. So I was saying, like, since this year started, like, I'm carrying less projections and insecurities from people because obviously I'm very empathetic. When I reached that level of I don't give a fuck, I was like, oh yeah, this is not even mine to carry. Like, why am I carrying somebody's insecurities about how they feel about me when I don't feel the same way and I am not the way that they're perceiving me? Once I dropped all of those things and I was just me, myself, I was like, oh my goodness, I feel so empty. I feel so light. And I'm not used to feeling light. You know, when your body is used to a certain kind of feeling that you've taken it to be the norm, but it's not really a good norm. When you finally shift out of that place, of that feeling, into a better feeling, your body is like, what the hell? I don't know what to do here. And that's what it's been like for a while, like feeling so light, feeling so empty. And so I was like, oh my goodness, this is a good turning point. If you're feeling light and empty because you're no longer carrying the emotions of other people and projections of other people because you know who you are, you're strong in yourself, and you have energetic boundaries. If you're feeling strong in yourself and you're feeling that lightness of being, what you need to do to feeling that crevice or, space, you need to fill that space with more of you. You need to create, you need to feed your soul. You know what I'm saying? So I started a routine. I said, okay, in early in the mornings, I'll pray, I'll write in my journal, and then I'll read past journal entries. And when I read past journal entries, I'm like, oh my gosh, this girl is like a seer. She sees things, she knows things. What I've written in the past is what I can utilize now in the present, like strategies, like tips. Oh my goodness. So that helps me. It's like you're feeding your soul. And then also there's this book that I'm reading, A Course in Miracles, which just helps you with strengthening your connection to God and to yourself. It's a way of feeling in your soul. Like, so it's not like when you're empty because you're no longer carrying bad emotions or heavy emotions or negative emotions from other people that are not yours. You don't seek to find those same things to fill yourself up. No, you seek to fill yourself up with good things, better feelings, better ways of seeing things, better perspectives, higher perspectives. You get what I'm saying? And also, I'm not going to lie to you, when you're even lighter, when you're not carrying feelings from other people, and also when you're not carrying resentments from the past, it's like you can hear yourself better. It's like you're sharper. I cannot lie to you that my intuition is so sharp now. And I'm not going to lie to you, my intuition has always been sharp. But I think now it's different because I'm always listening. I'm always by myself. I'm always in tune. And I'm making an effort to not do things that distract me, like be on my phone on social media for too long or watch shows for too long, You can tell the things that are not feeding your soul, the things that are distracting you. So for me, my intuition is not only is my no, I will not say my intuition is sharper. I can hear my intuition better and I can act on my intuition. I can see the signs and pick up on it. I can hear the whispers and hear it and act on it. And I love that because all my life I've always had my intuition sharp, loud, talking, but I didn't listen. Now there's this bridge. The bridge has been formed because of letting go of those heavy things that were blocking that transmission, letting go of doubts, fears, embodying audacity, embodying courage. It's one thing to hear your intuition, it's another thing to have the courage to act on it. And for me, I told myself that, look, who I am is a fiery girl. Like, the world has tried to, like, water down my bravery, my courage, my audacity. I'm using that courage and audacity to ensure that I act on my intuition. I do not care about how it's going to be received. I think a lot of times we stop ourselves from acting on our intuition because of the way it's going to be received. I cannot allow that to distract me because that's not part of the plan. Your intuition tells you something, you act on it, forget everything else. You listening to that side of you that says, what about? That's the logical brain, and it doesn't work when it comes to intuition. So that's how I see it. So for me, because there's this lightness of being, there's this awareness and stronger connection to my intuition because I'm listening, not only listening, acting. It's one thing to hear, it's another thing to act. So I've been acting on it. It's so different because I realized that, okay, it's because I was carrying things that weren't mine, and I've dropped them. there's this article that is on our Medium page on the 10 of Wands. And I wrote it because the 10 of Wands speaks of how you end up carrying burdens that are not yours, people's karma, people's feelings, people's emotions, people's projections, because they cannot carry it. And because you are empathetic, you think you have to carry it. You don't carry feelings that are not yours. You don't carry insecurities that are not yours. You don't carry projections that are not yours. It's not yours. If it's not yours, why are you carrying it? Because the person is not strong enough to carry it. You don't carry burdens for people. It will never take you where you need to go. I'm telling you. You can identify that somebody is carrying a burden. You can assist by, advice or whatever, but don't touch it, don't carry it. It's not yours. Because I can assure you that people would want you to carry it fully for them and they just live their life. Yeah, I even had a dream about it. And I also knew somebody that was trying to do that with me. This person had burdens in their life and they wanted me to carry it with them. No, they didn't want me to carry it with them. They wanted me to carry everything for them. And I didn't. Yeah, I don't have, look, I've already worked through all my baggage. So I'm not carrying heavy load. Why are you coming with all your baggage for me to carry for it? I'm not your mom. I'm not your dad. I'm not your sister. We're not blood related. You know what I'm saying? That will never work. And that's why it's good to have boundaries. I remove myself. I'm not going to carry anybody's burdens. And what was beautiful is that I always have dreams. My dream 2 days ago, in that dream, or was it last night? No, 2 days ago. Um, the other night, I had a dream that somebody had stolen money from a very powerful person. And that kind of powerful person, that if they found out that you're the one that stole it, you're going to be killed. Do you get what I'm saying? So this person stole the money and gave me the bag to hold. You get me? And now, because of the nature of that crime, I found myself hanging out with one dodgy dude in a car that was packed to a trash can, and there were so many flies on our window. And in my mind, I was like, first of all, this is a crime that this person has committed. Number one, they stole the money, they left the bag with me, they've gone. I could not see the person for the rest of the dream. Number one. Number two, as a result, I'm hanging out with somebody that I would never hang out with because of the nature of the crime. I'm in a car next to a trash bag and there are so many flies on the window. Flies means lurking spirits, monitoring spirits. Flies is not a good sign. So what did I do? I said, I'm not going to go down this route. I'm not going to go down this route. I don't want to be held accountable for something that is not mine. So what did I do? I went to give the money back to the person that they stole it from. I said, I'd rather be punished now for returning the money as opposed to, taking the money and running, especially as it's not me that stole it. Do you get me? So when I woke up, I was like, oh yeah, this feels like it's the dream of somebody handing you their karma and wanting you to carry it all while they don't carry anything. Like, it's so absurd. It's so absurd. Anyway, I went to the person in charge that they stole the money from. Very powerful person. I gave the person back the money. I gave them one word of the currency, or a word of the currency, right? And then I looked inside the bag and it was so much more. So said person has stolen a lot of money, but made it seem as if they just stole like a rack. And here I am looking at it like, oh my goodness, they stole so much, meaning that some people would deceive you. Oh my goodness, I'm so glad we're talking about this. Some people would deceive you and act like, oh, please just help me with this small issue. But they're trying to sneak attack you by putting every single issue that they have in their life on you to carry and solve for them while they don't do anything. That's what that money represented. Because I thought it was a rack, but it was racks, like a lot. I was like, oh my goodness, they stole way more than I thought. So that's all their karma. And then gave it right back to the person that they took it from. And as a result, I was upgraded in life. Afterwards, like, good things were happening for me. I had a huge house, I had a community, I was living lavish, I was living in luxury, I had a really nice place. I never saw that dodgy guy with the small car again. I was never in a dirty place. It was all working in such a good way. I was like, wow, thank God. Because when you carry something that isn't yours, you find yourself where you don't need to be. So that's the art of being. That's a good art of being. Like, please don't feel like you should save anyone. Don't feel like you should help anyone with their issues or their burdens. I'm telling you, because sometimes it can be the kind of thing where you can help without being like in it. Does that make sense? Because sometimes, yeah, you want to help somebody, but that person is trying to trick you into doing more for them so they don't end up doing anything. So that's one thing that I learned. And when you then remove yourself and you leave them to handle it, oh my goodness, you realize that they don't have the capacity. Okay, so why should I have the capacity for somebody else's problem? So that's one thing that I've learned. I've really, really left people to handle themselves the way they want to handle themselves. I don't do things beyond my capacity. I don't carry people's insecurities. I don't carry people's burdens. I don't involve myself in people's karma, because some people have karma and they're hoping that you can come in and, carry it for them. I don't have time for that. That's just not me. So because of all this, all of those distractions, all of those burdens being removed, I just feel lighter and clearer, enough to know what my intuition is trying to tell me, enough to pick up on signs, enough to know where I should go, what direction, And then I went on a trip. When I went for that trip, I don't know what happened, but it seemed like I shed more layers. I just felt like I could be myself fully. I felt like I can be myself. I'm the one giving myself permission to be who I truly am, who I fully am, who I am. No permission. Like, come on, I'm 30 years old. So it's nice to know that, because I've always been a daredevil. I've always been a pioneer in being myself. That's who I am. That is who I am. So I'm not surprised that my podcast has to do with the self. Like, everything I've ever done in my life starts with the self, because I'm just self-focused. And I'm going to continue being self-focused. I'm going to continue being selfish and self-serving in the best way. And I feel like now, looking back, in relationships and friendships and every other relationship, I was always giving a lot, because I knew that if I should focus on myself, it would be like, you don't exist. It's not like you don't exist, like, but I feel like people just need me to be like their mom in a way. So, like, me being focused on myself really, really changes the dynamics of relationships in a way where the other person that cannot give as much needs me to be distracted with me giving to them. Does that make sense? Because if I'm focused on myself and I realize what I can do on my own and who I am on my own, a lot of people will not be able to be in relationships with me, because I would know that they are not able to give me enough. Yeah. So just be aware of where there's some distractions. So people don't want you to focus on yourself. But for me, I always tell you, just focus on you, like, be your best self. But one thing I would say to you, listener, like, the freedom of being yourself, the art of being yourself, the privilege of being yourself, there's nothing that can take you away from that. And when you are yourself, I wish I had my Vaseline here, but I don't know where it is. When you're yourself, there's no way that you wouldn't find what is meant for you. There's no way that you wouldn't be magnetic towards what it is meant for you, in terms of people, in terms of places, opportunities, love. Yeah. I think that's what I've attained now. This freedom of being myself, this permission of being myself, giving myself that permission. Be your best self, like, be your naughty self, be your nice, your kind self, be your outrageous self, and see where it takes you. Be that bitch. So yeah, I think this is where I'll stop. I like this. This was nice. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. I will definitely be back on a consistent basis. This podcast keeps me going, and you listening keeps me going as well. So I'm very grateful. I'm very thankful. And yeah, let's see how things go. So till then, till next time. Bye. My name is Viv, and I'm signing out.